Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Healthcare Entrepreneur Academy podcast. I'm your host, Jason Duprat, and we are back here for another Tactical Tuesday episode. On this episode, we're going to be answering some of your questions. So to get your questions answered, all you have to do is jump into our texting community. So that is only available to our podcast listeners. That's the only place I announce this number. All you have to do is text hello, text anything. You can text join, hello, hi to 407-972-0084. So just take out your phone and open up texting and text the number 407-972-0084. Just text a single word. It could be hello, something like that. You'll get prompted to enter your contact information. Once I've received it, I will reply back and I will give you my contact card. So then you can save that number in your phone, and anytime you have a question, you can drop it in there. So I'll be answering questions periodically on the podcast directly from that texting hotline that we have. It's our text community, and that is the only place where we announce special VIP offers, special events, things like that are happening in our business. So if you want VIP access related to anything that has to do with our business or the podcast, jump in that text. We don't just spam you. I promise you, we actually rarely text unless you text us first. But if you text me something, I'm the only one that has access to the app, just me. And so you get a response from me personally. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun way to stay connected with my audience and to get you guys some help that you need in terms of getting questions answered. So this question came in from Amy P. I've actually worked with Amy P quite a bit, and she is an avid supporter of the podcast. So I want to make sure I got her question. And it was a pretty common question, or a common feeling. And I want to read the question to you. And it was, how do you not feel like you need to be working in your business 24/7? So that way you can prioritize some downtime. Well, I had a business coach when I was part of a mastermind group. It just ended about a month ago. That was the 2CCX mastermind with Russell Brunson. The biggest investment I've ever made into a mastermind. I've told you guys about that on previous podcasts. It was a $25,000 investment, but it came with some coaching that was monthly with a mindset coach. And interestingly enough, I didn't realize it at the time, but she was using, her name was Lindsay, and she was awesome. She was using a framework that's really common in the therapy space and in the coaching space. And the framework it relies on the facts that your circumstances basically influence your thoughts. And your thoughts then impact how you feel emotionally about something, and how you feel emotionally about something is going to have a lot of control over the types of actions that you take related to that something. And we all know that the actions that you take on a regular basis are what produce your results. So the question of how do you not feel like you need to work in your business 24/7, we start with that sort of framework, right? Because how we think about things influences our feelings. And because you mentioned the word feel, I was like, oh, this is a perfect one to use this sort of framework on, because this framework is really effective. We talk about mindset in all of our training programs, and some people think it's a little woo-woo, but you have to have a really solid mindset to be doing anything that is, extraordinary in life. You have to have a really good mindset, and you have to be able to not only recognize when your thought patterns are producing loops potentially of negative thoughts that impact your feelings in a negative way. So let's circle back to circumstances. Circumstances are some things that you have much less control over. And in some cases, you have no control over. What you do have control over are your thoughts. That's the sort of the chain reaction. You immediately have control over your thoughts. Now, you can't control the thought that enters your mind. Those just happen. There's no ability to control those thoughts. What you can control is how long you let that thought stay there, and your response to that thought, and your feelings related to that thought. So hopefully that makes sense. So Amy's feeling like she needs to work in her business 24/7. And it sounds like that's making it difficult for her to prioritize downtime. So you kind of circle back into what thoughts are you having related to your business that are making you feel that way? And those thoughts are probably almost always a result of some sort of circumstance that you're experiencing probably on a regular basis for yourself. So what are the circumstances that are potentially causing those thoughts and those feelings? So I would venture to guess, and I know some more details about Amy because we work together a little bit, but Amy is learning and starting to grow a business, fairly new business. She's doing really well. I did some reviews of her landing pages and things, and she's really got a ton of potential and can be, really crushing it in very, very near future if she's not already. It's been a little bit since we've talked. So those circumstances related to having a new business that you're having to put a lot of effort into, right? I would assume are probably influencing the thoughts that you maybe, in order to get to where you want to be, you have to continuously work to improve on the business, which is a normal thought to have, right? Like most high achievers are going to have thoughts like that. Like they start a business, they don't want their business to fail. They have a vision for where they want that business to go and the results that are going to be coming down the road as a result of starting that business and having that business be successful. So a lot of times that is, things like more income, more, autonomy over what you do on a day-to-day, every day. So more income is another potential sort of vision that somebody might have, the ability to help others in a certain situation or that have gone through a certain type of crisis, which is something that Amy actually works with, could be part of that vision. And, when you're brand new in business, you see that disconnect, right? You see the vision of where you want to be and where you want your business to be, and you see a gap. You just started your business is pretty new, and you know where you want to be, but you have this gap. And so I think probably what's going on is that gap appears to be really, really big when you're new. And that is causing thoughts of, I have so much to do. I got to do more. I got to close that gap. I got to, improve my landing pages. I got to improve my copy. I got to improve my training programs. And that in turn influences how you're feeling, which is that you need to always be working in your business. So some of those feelings and circumstances improve over time. As a new business owner, it's one of those times where you have to do a lot, right? You have to wear every cap, especially when you're brand new, because you have limited income being generated as a result of all the work that you're putting into your business. And you've got a long sort of runway in terms of where you want to go before you sort of lift off. There's going to be a lot to do. So for a period of time, that's kind of how business and entrepreneurship is. But one of the things that I would challenge you to do, and this is something, if this is, sort of an issue for you where you just find yourself not being able to get enough downtime in, one of the things I would challenge you to do is to change your thoughts a little bit related to, that vision that you have. Because sometimes we put a little bit too much pressure on ourselves. It's always good to put some pressure on yourself, but you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself because entrepreneurship is a marathon, right? Entrepreneurship is absolutely not a sprint. You don't do 60 days, get your business started, all of a sudden you're a millionaire. This is not how it happens, right? There's so many skills that you have to learn on that path to taking off that it is very much a marathon, and you want to set yourself at the right sort of cadence. You want to have the right pace, just like a marathon runner. Some of them who maybe are training or less experienced, they will run to music that has a certain beats per minute, or sometimes they'll even listen to like metronomes in the background to keep their pace on track to hit a very specific time. Every time that beat hits, their foot hits the ground. Beat hits, foot hits the ground. And that's the only way that they're going to make the time that they want to make. So when it comes to business, if you're having thoughts and you're struggling in terms of feeling like you have to work 24/7, just know that there's going to be a sprint in the beginning to get your business to the point where it's generating some revenue. That could be a couple months. There's going to be some really hard work, and it's going to be like that initially because you got to get yourself to a point where you're generating revenue. For most of you, you want to do that fairly quickly, right? The whole point of getting into business is to start generating revenue. And then once you're generating revenue, you want to improve and scale and things over time. So in my opinion, what's going on here is sort of a disconnect. That big, huge runway that Amy might have before she lifts off. She's looking at that runway, which is so far away, and she's putting a lot of pressure on herself to get down all the way down that runway really, really quick. And so one of the things that I would recommend is just to, in your mind, let that runway, double or triple in length. So that way you're changing your cadence and you're changing your view. You're changing the amount of pressure that you're putting on yourself. And that's going to help change your thought pattern. And instead of being like, oh man, I got to redo this landing page. I got to learn how to do Stripe. I got to learn copy. I have to figure out how to use ClickFunnels. I got to do all this stuff. I got to learn how to build my course in Kajabi or Thinkific or whatever it is in such a short window. Just spread out the timeline a little bit for sort of optimizing those things. And one of the things that, a lot of entrepreneurs talk about is that 80% of what your ideal goal is, or 85% of perfection is what you need to actually succeed in business. So if you're hitting 80 to 85%, you're going to be in good shape. Knowing that, if you hit 85% of your target of what you would normally sort of target in terms of like your level of expectations of yourself, just know that if you hit that 85%-ish number, 80%-ish number, you're going to be on the right trajectory. And then over time, you can make improvements to get things to 90%, 95%, 96%, 97% of how you exactly envision them in terms of, a lot of us are healthcare professionals, so we can be a little bit perfectionists. So the idea here is to not strive for perfection, on such a short timeline. It's to give yourself a really long runway and to just slow that process down. And then it's going to help control those thoughts of sort of feeling rushed, like there's so much to do. And it's easier said than done. I will 100% give you that. It is much easier said than done because some of us are just so ambitious, like we're driven. We want to get this done. We want to get it done faster. We want to get it done better. But you will burn out as an entrepreneur if you put too much pressure on yourself to produce a certain level of results within too short of a time period.